Your new haircut makes you look like Beans from Even Steven.
You look like the kid in 8th grade that decides he wants to be a real boy and shows up with like a tie and a shirt and carrying a briefcase.
I do look like that kid.
You look like Beans from Even Stevens, man.
Oh, I don't love that. Oh, he looks weird now. You should look him up now.
I see him now.
I was going to say we're looking at him, bro.
You don't look that bad now.
Okay. Yeah, so I got a haircut. No, a lot of things went wrong.
Explain what happened.
Okay,
because it's funny.
I was trimming my beard up a little bit, and I guess I didn't check to make sure that the trim guard or whatever it's called is on all the way. So right as I went to start shaving, it went down, and I just took off a big chunk from my chin of hair. I was like, I guess I got to shave it all. So I just shaved it all, and then I looked at it. I was like, that looks different. I got to get a haircut now too. And I went in and I showed the same picture I always show. And the guy apparently just said to himself, "Oh, that I'm just going to go way shorter." And so one mistake with the beard trimmer, and I fundamentally changed my appearance.
Now you're like coiffed.
This I just got out of the shower, so I don't know. This is
but like that's what his hair does. Like, here's the thing: you simultaneously both look older and younger.
No, he looks so much younger.
He looks so much younger, but also so much more like a grown up. What shocks me about this whole extravaganza is that you shaved that stuff that was on your face.
Yeah,
I assumed that was just like the kind of growth is all that you could do, and so you just let it run. I didn't realize like you trim, like that was like a conscious style choice.
That's so mean.
All right.
Like the teen
how
stash.
Mean do I be back? Is my, you know what? I'm gonna let it go. You got like one more week of having a job. I don't want to take any pot shots.
The best was Tim FaceTimes me and he was like, "Hey, look." And he folds his hair all the way back and he's like, "Turns out my hairline's as far back as yours is."
Yeah, it turns out I have a pretty high up hairline. I just didn't know. And like not even. Like it's kind of weird.
But it doesn't, like, you don't have the boat slips going, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've got. I've got like room for a couple
the
of
Nintendo
tenders.
64 controller.
Yeah. See, you've it's fairly like you just have a big forehead. Like it's not that your hairline, your head is just enormous, man.
Yeah, I was like, I showed a neighbor yesterday because I was just like, I just want you to see that I'm not kidding when I say it's not the hair. I just have a giant head for hats, and I like put on a normal hat, and it still wouldn't go on. She's like, okay, you're right. Yeah, you just have a giant head.
I mean, I don't think your hair currently is small.
No, it's not. That's
smaller.
more hair than I've ever had on my head.
Oh,
well, James, is more hair than you can have on your head.
Even if I grew it out for years, like I've just never let my hair go that. Well, yours is very full too, though. I don't have.
Do you want to know that when you turn to the side, it's we often have talked about how you kind of have like librarian vibes.
You look like Sally Jesse Raphael minus the glasses.
Wait, I don't remember us ever saying I have librarian vibes.
No, like your Aunt Sharon, like the librarian kind of.
I also am hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, this is a new one.
Maybe I just
this is just internal monologue you have
talking into some other people. You know, Tim, that guy that's on our. You kind of look like gives off that librarian vibe. Yeah, no, you look like a brunette Sally Jesse Raphael without the glasses.
This is fun. This is fun for me. Thanks, guys.
Let's stop on Tim. Let's on James, because now wearing that hat, which I understand why you're wearing it, you have somehow aged 25 years.
Is that why he's wearing it?
No, you just look. You look like Terry Lingner right now.
Lingner. Interesting. That's who I'm going to work for this weekend.
Yeah.
So. Because like normally this is a much more like curved brim than I normally wear.
I think the non-curved, the non-curved, like that guy said that you're too old to wear flat caps or flat.
No, he said I was too old to wear backwards hat. Whatever. But yeah, it's also flat caps.
Yeah. Well, that guy's A, an idiot, and B, wrong, because now you look the appropriate age. You don't look 56. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as long as everybody knows that I'm wearing my NBC Sports hat, I can leave it back if it makes you feel better.
So let's talk about, while we're on that topic, it's a bittersweet weekend for everyone because it's the last race of the season, but like, it's very bittersweet for all NBC folks, yourself included.
All the TV people. And it's been, I think, if it's not 10 years, it's 12 years. I was going to say I should know that, but I shouldn't know that because I haven't been with them that long. No. But it's been like 10 years plus that NBC has had the broadcast rights. So that's a big deal, man. It's a big change. And I hope a lot of fans tune in to watch the last show. You mentioned Terry Ligner. They brought Terry Ligner. He was the producer on the very first show that NBC did with IndyCar, and now he's going to be the producer on the last show, which is very cool. We've already said goodbye to some people. Obviously, Lee's moved over to NASCAR already. Some of the people in the truck have transitioned over back to NASCAR when NBC picked up that side of things. But the core group is a phenomenal group of people, in the trucks, out in the field, running the cameras, whatever it is. We've got a really, really cool group, and it's a tight group, and it's a sad day for sure that we're going into our last weekend. We always love going to race weekends because we love working together and we love putting on a good show for everybody at home. But this one is definitely a little bittersweet because we know, like, end of the season's always sad, right? Like Nashville last year, or not Nashville, Laguna last year was sad because it's like, oh, I'm not going to see these people for a couple months. Now you don't know when you're going to see them again or if you're going to see them again. So stuff.
I've never asked you this, so this is as good of a time as any, I think. As a racing driver,
don't ask that.
You develop this like very close relationship, especially with your engineer and some of your crew guys. I mean, the majority of the crew guys on your car. And some of the other key personnel throughout the team, and whether it's been a year, 7 years, 2 years, whatever, like there's friendships that you're leaving behind. And it's sad. Does that also apply to the TV world? Is it kind of the same as like, you have that one person, your engineer, if you will, that like, you bounce a lot of things off of and you're super close with? Does that apply?
Yeah, it does. It really does. It's funny because Townsend and I were actually having this conversation with some people in Milwaukee about how one of the things that we both miss the most about driving, about racing full time. And, I'm lucky I'm still racing with FAF and I do get this from that. So, but before that, the 2 years prior, I wasn't. And one of the biggest things you miss is you miss that camaraderie of being part of a team, right? But then at the same time, we also both kind of individually came up with the fact that building this show and this broadcast, this production, it really is a team and it feels that way. Everybody's got to come together and play their part and do their role. And, no one can do it alone. Everybody needs to rely on each other. You help each other, help yourselves kind of thing. Very similar to a race team. And so you do kind of grow those same kind of bonds and connections. The engineer driver relationship obviously is a very important one. And you end up spending probably the most time together, which is part of the reason that relationship ends up being one of the tightest. So yeah, I look at, Diff and T-Bell and Kevin, the people that you're up in the booth with for hours and hours on end over a season are probably your tightest ones. But then, your producers on your talk back button yelling at you, you're yelling at them back and forth. You're trying to come up with good ideas on the fly during a live show to come up with, what to make a better element for the show. So that's an important relationship as well. And there's a bunch, there's a bunch up and down the org chart, if you will. And some people that I've gotten really close with, some friendships that I know will last beyond TV. But hopefully we all get to work together again at some point because, it's, TV and motorsports is a relatively small world. I hope to still be involved in it in some way after this weekend. So hopefully it's not goodbye for a lot of them. But yeah, it's a great question, Alex, because you do kind of get some of those close knit relationships, like working relationships that sort of become a little more personal as a result.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's like I'm going through the same thing.
I was just going to ask. I mean, it's last race for you with the team.
Yeah. It's weird. Like it's not as it won't be as painful, I think, as the Andretti one because
is that just because of the term,
the amount of time, right? And also because some of those relationships, I was so close with some of those people. Like I still hang out with those people and see those people and talk to those people on a regular basis because you're such good friends. So these might be a little bit kind of caught in the purgatory of like, yeah, you're really going to miss seeing them week in and week out, but like, are you close enough that you're like going to go do family dinners and stuff like that? Maybe, but probably not, sort of thing. Whereas the Andretti guys, like 7 years, like that's a long time to be a part of someone's life. You're not just going to kind of disappear, but like the 1.5, 2 year thing, it's kind of like, oh, I'll see you at the track maybe. And it might be the awkward, hey, hi, good luck, but not really sort of thing. So I don't know.
I also feel like in your tenure at McLaren, there's been a lot of turnover too. Like
a lot of
turnover, but they've brought new people in, and like
a lot of
your
faces.
crew has changed. Like you've got a different timing stand than you did last year.
Right.
So you had the same engineer for 6 of your 7 years at Andretti, right?
7 of the 8. Yeah.
7 of the 8, whatever it was. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a little bit different.
6 of the 7. Yeah. You're absolutely right. So it is sad because like anywhere, like there's some amazing people, some people that you really enjoy, not only working with, but just spending time with and joking with and laughing with and going through the ups and the downs of it all. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. That's the sport. That's life. And all you can do is just try and have one last real good one together. I think the big question mark is, will Mother Nature cooperate? Because there's a young tropical storm developing, which,
what do we
for
call
people
this
in
one?
Nashville, Francine's being a real, because not only are people in like New Orleans and stuff having to worry about like 6-foot storm surges, but like we're on an oval and we're out in the middle of Lebanon, Tennessee. So not awesome. Not
the
awesome.
last one, we got a championship to settle, and then I got a plane to catch to Singapore. I can't afford a Monday race, guys.
Right.
This is not good for me.
I don't know how much of a championship we have to settle, but
Look, man, it's not done. It's not done.
You're right.
McLaughlin's done. As hard as he's trying on Twitter right now, which is pretty entertaining. From the offer of a sushi dinner with his legit fish guy to, I don't know if you saw today's, hey Graham, can I borrow a couple Ducatis? I want to take Pillow on a tour of Nashville.
That was definitely our good buddy Brian Simpson tweeting that one.
Just to big up Ducati Rahal?
Well, no, because
Rahal Ducati?
he's at Rahal Ducati today. So
yes.
Anyways,
I'm sure that there was a collaborative effort on that one. Yeah. So look, let's you brought it up. Let's break it down. 33 points is the lead Pillow has over Power. If Power caps out at
did Tim
54,
die? Sorry.
I don't know. I was going to actually, when we were talking about how we're both having big transitions, leaving teams, I was going to ask him, how does he feel about leaving this show at the end of the season? We hadn't told him that we were firing him, but we'll see. He's left us already. So I guess he'll just, when he comes back to edit this, he'll hear that for the first time that he's being let go.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it next week. So if Will like maxes out points 54, Pilotus has to finish 9th, and Pillow is finished in the top 10 in like 17 of the last 20 ovals or something. So now, crucially, there's 2 ovals this year where he has not.
Well, one of them is still a mystery to, I think, a lot of people. He claims he made a mistake, but like, I have to believe something broke in Iowa.
I've watched that video plenty of times, and Connor and I were actually having this conversation earlier today. I'm like, I still don't know what happened there. That one was very strange.
Yes. And then we all know what happened last week in Milwaukee. So of the ones where, in my mind, he's been in control of the situation, he's succeeded at finishing where he needs to finish.
Correct. And the other ones are like he got taken out by Renus at Gateway one year.
Well, yes.
I guess I don't think, if we don't count Iowa as an unforced Pillow error, I don't think that he's had any finishes outside the top 10 on ovals that weren't a forced error from something else. So anyway,
which is
so he's
crazy
got a good
considering he got like dumped in the 500 by Renus, yet still somehow finished 4th.
4th?
Yeah.
Also, Renus took him out of his first ever oval race for Coin at Texas.
Man, Rinus doesn't like Alex. Maybe that's the new hate cauldron that hasn't really materialized.
That's an interesting one. But okay, so there's a couple of things I want to ask you about. Let's start with the alternates. So I'm not dialed into a race team anymore. I learned about the alternate plan at Nashville. For those that don't know, the Reds, the alternates, will be used in Nashville, just like on road street courses, similar to how we did it at Gateway last year. Biggest difference being you have to run 2 sets of alternates in the race rather than 1 for some reason. Maybe Alex can shed some light on that. We have a pretty limited number of tires in general for the weekend that now you have to, in practice, get through balance checks on 2 completely different compounds. You got to decide you only get 4 sets of alternates. So in theory, you got to practice on 1. So, at least, so you know what happens. If it's a track position race, which people are worried it might be, we're going to want to qualify on 1, and you have to use 2 sets in the race. Now you could use your qualifying set because they don't have to be new. Lots of derivatives of a tire plan could happen here. My question for you is, as somebody that is slightly more dialed into a race team than I, how long ahead of when we did it at Gateway last year, it had been talked about from like January that, hey, we're thinking about doing this. And then it was announced whenever it was announced. I have not heard anything about Nashville until the press release came out, the Racer article came out, whatever. How much heads up did teams and drivers get that we were going to have alternates on an oval?
Well, when did the article come out?
Let's say it came out at noon on a Wednesday.
No, I didn't know if you actually knew when it came out.
It came out I think it was like the Thursday. I think it was last Thursday after Milwaukee.
Okay, so like last Thursday, let's call it noon.
Sure.
Because that's usually when news is dropped.
Yeah, I think it was actually noon.
So my engineer, Chris Lawrence, at Thursday at 11:13. So 4 sets of alternate tires for Nashville. Gotta use 2 in the race. My response, lol. Is that a tire that's been tested? Question mark. No clue. Sick. So that was my conversation that I've had about said tire program.
Okay. So wow. All right. So
it'll be fine. It'll be
there's
great.
a track that we haven't been to in 15 years that only 3 drivers have been on, that have raced on. More have tested now. Historical data is almost irrelevant because of 15 years in a completely different race car.
Well, probably the same race car, but yeah.
I was going to say that it's not far off from being the same car.
Look, amazingly, it is a different physical chassis as well as all the iterations that this one's been through.
Barely, though.
No, this one is a full different car.
I know, but I'm saying this chassis has been around almost long enough to have made that.
Yes. It barely makes the cut.
So yeah, keep going with your points.
Right. So historical data is kind of irrelevant. Track surface has probably, evolved a tremendous amount. I imagine it hasn't been redone in that time, but I don't know. Whatever. Either way, the tire testing fairly publicly didn't go great the first time. Limited amount of time to rectify that. I guess the second tire test went fine. It seems like there's a lot of reasons to not have this one be a alternate experiment.
You forgot.
Let's forget that it's the championship decider.
Well, and you forgot to mention that I don't believe any of the tests were done on the boost level we're going to be racing.
I'm sorry, what? So we're up in boost. So are we doing the road course boost?
Down in boost.
We're going down in boost.
We're going to 1.3. Yes. So, which isn't that big of a deal because that. Well, again, who knows, James?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, in theory, that should make it easier, I guess, to follow and race if you're going slower in the corners and there's less aero and tire demand. Yes.
And longer straights because you're going slower. So in theory, this is all done to make the racing better.
Yes. But as you say, a lot of question marks. I think to IndyCar's credit, they realized that after the 2 tests that they had, that they were in deep in terms of the the raciness of the track. So
Because it was not very racing.
Because it was very bad. So now they're trying literally everything that they have at their disposal to make sure that that doesn't happen, or at least doesn't happen as bad as it was perceived to be for the season finale. So like they're trying. Whether this comes off well or not, we've theorized in the theorized.
Well done.
Theorized in the past
10 points.
that it's going to be. We talked about this last week, and it hasn't been. So I'm not gonna say anything other than this. It is wild that we are racing potentially on a tire that hasn't been tested. But counterpoint to that, we did that in Milwaukee last weekend, and it was totally fine. Number two, I'm definitely going to save the out of my reds because I have an engine penalty coming anyways. So
yes.
I don't really care about qualifying. And if the reds are good, I'm going to want that juice. So I'm just going to run the one in practice and see what she's got.
So are you not going to qualify a set because you've got the penalty coming?
Yeah, I'm not going to qualify a set.
So then how many stops? Do we know how many stops the race is supposed to be? I know nothing about.
Couldn't tell you.
How many drivers? So, have there been 2 tests that we know of?
Yes.
How many drivers total have lapped Nashville in this car?
In the, not including Dixon, who raced here?
Whoever, in the DW12.
Pato, Colton, Graham, Ed, who's not going to be there.
Great point.
And Dixon.
That's it.
Yes.
So
there may have been a Penske car there.
No, yeah, there had to have been. I thought Power maybe did.
Power maybe did it, but okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that would make sense. That would be 3 and 3. So
Ganassi had a car. Penske had a car. McLaren had a car. Andretti had a car. Rahal and Ed.
Yes.
Okay. Now the Ed one is tough because Ed's not actually driving.
Right.
Any team that's driven there, well, but it's tough though because if I assume not all those cars were at both tests.
No. So the second test was just Pato and Colton because they were the guys that had the tire failures at the first test.
Those guys are probably the only 2 that have been on the tire that's going to actually be raced.
Well, the primary tire.
Primary tire. That is such a huge advantage going to a brand new racetrack for those 2 teams and especially those 2 drivers.
Yeah.
Lucky you. Because think about it, right? Like when we'll go to Gateway and let's say 10 guys.
I think Dixon was at the last test. I don't really know, but okay, call it 4 teams. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Your point remains the same.
Right. The point is that we'll go to Gateway where 10 cars did a test 2 weeks before and the rest had done an Iowa test instead. And that first practice session, those 10 cars are usually in the top 12 in times because you can just start at such a higher level. You don't have to build up to anything. But that's at a track that everyone else raced at last year. We're talking about a track that no one's raced at in 15 years. Only 3 guys have ever raced there that are on the current grid: Power, Rahal, and Dixon. And it's kind of a unique place. It's a unique length. It's a unique surface. It's only concrete oval. So it's going to take people a little bit of time to get up to speed, and understandably so.
See, I honestly disagree with you.
All right.
I think that when it's a completely new track, okay, fine. Let's call it 6 drivers have driven on it. That's fine because they haven't found the peak performance yet. I mean, maybe Dixon has because he was rolling off with an understanding of what it maybe should feel like and what it used to feel like and all this stuff. So maybe he's gotten close to kind of the limit of what it should be or thereabouts. But I can tell you after talking to Pato, he's like, oh man, I still really have no idea what I'm doing. I would imagine Colton's probably the same. Maybe Power's slightly different, but a lot of these guys, just because you do the test, you got to remember tire tests specifically, especially tire tests if you have a failure and your day ends early. It's very much a regimented run plan of Firestone needs you to do X, Y, Z. There's not you are tuning the car kind of, but you're never doing like ultimate performance runs. You're never completely happy with the car. So I honestly think your Dixons and your Wills and Joseph, because of his ability on ovals, are kind of going to be the people that are out of the box the strongest. But I think everyone else is going to be on a pretty similar playing field. And I think that's kind of the exciting part about this being a finale, is there is no kind of predetermined order of superiority of how it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's something to that. I just think like those guys, the Patos and the Colons or whatever, like their first runs will be significantly quicker just because
but like,
they're just going to start that one step, even if they're nowhere near they need to.
We're professional race car drivers. Like, it shouldn't take us more than 10 laps to figure it out.
I don't know.
Like,
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting. So what is it? Is it one practice again and then qualifying and then a warm up, or what's the
practice, qualifying practice? Yep. And that's all on Saturday. And then on Sunday we race.
In theory, weather pending.
Well, yeah. TBD.
Okay, Alex, as we look to kind of button up your McLaren days, what kind of result would make you happy and feel like you're ending on a high note? And then why don't you give the people at home a little post McLaren report card and how you view your time at the team?
Well, I would love to beat Joseph in the championship. And I think that's very attainable.
What's the points gap right now?
15.
Okay.
So we're going to need to have a good weekend, because I'm sure he will have a good weekend. And that'll put us 8th. I think in all likelihood, like Pato can't catch Scott. So I think Pato's kind of stuck in 6th. So finishing 2 spots behind Pato, missing a race due to a broken thumb, and all of the other minor disasters we had this year, I don't think is too terrible. So I would really love to come out of here with that. And I think that would be an accomplishment. A report card, I don't really know what I would give it. I think last year in a lot of ways was a little bit of a wasted year. There was a lot of, as I've talked about many times on this podcast, a lot of really new people on the 7 car, new to motorsports, some new to IndyCar specifically, but some new to motorsports. I think it took a long time to really mesh with everyone and understand, what, I kind of needed from the car and what I was looking for from a feel standpoint, and, the development path in 2023, Pato and I were on completely different planets. Felix was on a different planet. Like, there was just 3 kind of independent cars. And I really think this off season, we were blessed with a lot of hybrid testing, being, one of the manufacturer teams that was leading that charge. And Pato and I, really started to click more in terms of, looking for a similar direction from kind of a chassis development standpoint. And really, once we got through thermal, and I would say Long Beach on, him and I have been on very similar cars, and kind of your traditional, a front spring offset or a front wing offset or something, and we've really been able to kind of go in one development direction. And I think that that's the first time this team has really had that, just knowing some of its history and unfortunately the turnover of drivers that they've had and that sort of thing. So I think this year in a lot of respects has been really strong, from just a performance standpoint. Unfortunately, some things didn't really go our way, but I think the step from one year to the next was really good. And I think the application of the hybrid or the integration of the hybrid into the team, what they've done is pretty exceptional. So I think the team's actually heading in a very good direction. It's like we talked about, it's bittersweet that I won't be a part of that, but also I don't really care because I'm excited about some stuff that's coming that I know everyone is very curious about, but that's also none of your damn business. So I'll tell you when I want to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, it's their damn business. It's just they don't have the right to know yet.
Well, yeah, exactly. Or maybe at all. Maybe maybe we won't announce anything. Maybe I'll just show up. Maybe we'll just show up in St. Pete and people will be like, oh, maybe that'll get me out of the content day. Maybe if I'm unannounced and just TBA.
I feel like deductive reasoning will allow people to sort of pin you somewhere.
Yeah. It'll be
every other car is announced.
Exactly. Anyways, so yeah, I would say that 2024 was so much better than 2023, which is good because 2023 in a lot of respects was pretty terrible. It was my worst qualifying year that I've ever had in IndyCar. So that was a tough pill to swallow. But yeah, I mean, we rectified a lot of the issues, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. It's funny. You were talking about, the championship standings and being kind of two behind Pato, having missed a race, whatever. And that's also considering like it's been a much more consistent year for you because, I mean, Pato's on paper won 3 races, right? It's a lot of points. Mm-hmm. And so to be 2 spots behind him in the championship, it just shows that like the consistency week to week, salvaging those 5th, 6th, 7th, which is what builds, a good championship position in this series, has been much better than last year. And I think a lot of that was kind of the qualifying has taken a step up and, some of those things that you just said. So it's.
Yeah. Not a bad it's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas though, but it's the same for everyone. I mean,
yeah, everybody that's not Plo has a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas at this point.
Think about Will, think about Scott and the St. Pete thing, right? Like he's in the fight to win the championship. Had that not happened, Colton, his wheel coming off in Milwaukee, his crash at Indy, his crash in Detroit, like
the Iowa yellow flag.
Absolutely right. Like 2nd through 9th, I feel like is just.
They've got a lot of stories.
There's a lot of stories as to why they weren't there at the end of the year, which is, normal for motorsports, I think. But I think it's been exaggerated.
There's been more this year
because Pelot has been so monotonous.
He's been
3 years.
Metronomic in his approach, but like at the same time, he's had more bad luck, whatever you want to call it, this year than normal with the Iowa crash and the Milwaukee issue. So it just seems like up and down the top 10, kind of like you said, there's been a lot of issues that have taken a lot of points away from a lot of drivers. It'd be interesting to see. I haven't done the math on how many like points Pelot has going into the last race this year compared to last year.
Well, last year he was clinched. You mean like total points?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, cause he had 5 wins and his worst finish was like 8. So like it must be significantly higher than what it is going into this year's finale. So it just shows that he too has had a tougher year. It's just been super competitive. Obviously, the introduction of the hybrid. It's been crazy up and down. Mm-hmm. So you got to tune in, and you got to see what comes.
Interestingly enough, no man. Like, do we add a race? Because he ended. Oh, never mind. Sorry, that's 2023. So yeah. So he finished with 656,
and he came second or third in the last race.
Well, whatever.
Third.
The most he can finish with is 575.
Right. So
75 points less. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. But yeah, so it just shows you even he's had like a tougher year. I mean, last year was phenomenal, right? 5 wins. And was it 5 wins that he had? 4 wins? 5 wins? 4 wins?
I have no
Joseph
idea.
had 5 wins, I think.
He won 1, 2. This
year, yeah.
No, last year.
No.
Oh, no,
Incorrect.
That's 2024 again. He won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It was 5. Yeah.
Dang.
Isn't that wild?
He won 4 in a row. I forgot that.
Yeah.
Probably should have won 6 in a row if he didn't get dumped in the 500.
Yeah, that's just it. Won the GP, didn't win Indy, and then won 4 after that. Nuts. All right, well, we'll see what happens in Nashville. It's exciting. It's bittersweet, like we said. One of the things we're going to be watching is the weather, like we talked about, which kind of brings me to something that I wanted to bring up. I don't know if we've ever talked about it. I'm sure we have. We've talked about everything on this show because we've been doing it for so long. I mean, I love you guys, though. Fall weather, really. I hate it. Spring weather, I hate that too. I hate massive swings in temperature from sun up to sundown.
You're really weird.
Yeah, no, I know I'm in the minority here. There are points of a fall day that I think are beautiful, and a spring day, lovely. But in totality, from when I get out of bed to when I go back to bed, really frustrating. Like it'll be so cold in the morning. I'll be bundled up to walk the dogs. By the end of the dog's walk, I'll be hot. I'll be sweating. I don't like that. That's annoying. Pick a temperature. Give me a swing less than, 5°C, 10 Fahrenheit, whatever. And cool, we're good. Above that, it just starts getting.
Just shut up and drink your pumpkin spice latte. And
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. At best, I'll have some pumpkin pie on American Thanksgiving. At best, not my thing. Fall's not my thing. The weather,
the greatest time of year, dude.
You do seem like a fall guy. I could see you being a fall guy.
Dude, we went to the Colts game on Sunday. Roof was open, window was open.
That's cool that the roof was open.
72 degrees and sunny with a little breeze, blue sky. Oh, it's phenomenal.
Perfect.
Phenomenal.
Had you got there at 9:00 in the morning, you'd be wearing too many clothes.
No. When we got there, I had a sweater on. Walking out, I had to take my sweater off. But that's okay. That's called layers, James.
I know how to do it, but then you've got to keep track of that sweater.
Or not.
You might leave it at your seat, and then you got it's just inconvenient, man. It's not. Look, it's not the end of the world.
You're a baby back bitch.
No, I don't. Give me cold. I like cold. Give me hot. I don't mind hot. Both at the same time. What are we doing?
I mind hot.
I very much mind hot. We're in the middle. We're at the end of a pretty bad heat wave here. I am so tired of it.
Well, at least you're flying out to the south where it's going to be muggy and 92.
It's been over 100 degrees for the last 6 days here. That will actually be nicer in Nashville.
That's gross. Yeah, you're kind of hoping for a bit of a tropical storm.
Yeah.
So Alex, I didn't bring this up at the time, and I made a note of it because I wanted to not forget, which given the rest of the night was very possible to happen. But we were out the other night for your darling wife's birthday, and we were ordering a drink, and the menu had something called, what was it? Was it the espresso martini? It was like something. It was like a special.
Not another espresso martini.
Not another espresso martini, right? So that's on the menu, and we all kind of wanted a bit of a pick me up, so it kind of made sense. So we're going to order around. Alex, Tim, if you can believe this, Alex M. Rossi actually asked the server a follow-up question and wanted him to explain why. Why was it not another espresso martini? And the guy went into a whole story about it, and Alex was engaged and asked follow-up questions, and I was sitting in between them. He was like talking over my head to the guy, and I couldn't even, I was blown away. I didn't know what was happening.
I don't believe it.
No, that's not what happened. No, that's
what
not.
happened.
James, what happened was... we saw it on the menu, and then we went back to our table to play Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay? And the guy came over and was like, would you like any drinks? And me, and our buddy Steven had spoken about not another espresso martini. So he was like, oh, I want this is Steven. He was like, oh, I want the espresso martini, but not like the normal one, like the special one. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, do you like German chocolate cake? And everyone was like, Oh yeah. And then the girls started like just completely talking about cake, right? And the guy was kind of standing there because he was in mid-sentence, like A, taking our order, and B, explaining about like the history of it and German chocolate cake and its like similarities. And I finally interrupted the girls. I was like, guys, like we need to order, and please continue saying what you were talking about with German chocolate cake. Cause he was just standing there like with his foot in his mouth. I was like, I didn't want him to feel bad. Like I actually, yes, I wanted to hear like the pedigree of the cocktail, but it was also, I just was making up for the deplorable behavior of our counterparts. So I was just trying to be a decent human. I didn't actually want to hear him talk. I was just trying to be nice.
Look, either way, it's groundbreaking for Rossi. This is a big day.
I am such a nice person.
Generally, I've found when somebody's a nice person, they don't have to yell, "I'm such a nice person." I've never heard anybody yell that and be like, you know what, he's right.
But I'm really funny too.
Yeah, like it's. I don't know if that's how that works.
Either way, I was impressed. It was great.
Yeah, okay, kind of proving my point here.
Oh man! But yes, that was fun. I was blown away and I was impressed, and I'm glad I got to witness it. And I think the server was also very appreciative of getting to finish his German chocolate cake story and how he made a cocktail that tastes like German chocolate. And it was actually a phenomenal espresso martini.
It was very good,
and it was a good birthday for Kelly. So.
I think she had a good time.
All right. Well, I'm excited for the race. I think we should mention our good friend Chris is back from Sirius. So welcome back,
welcome
Chris.
back, Chris.
Thanks
Congrats on
for coming
procreating.
back. Sorry you have to be back with us.
Yeah.
And I'll see you guys in Nashville.
And yeah.
And yeah.
So yeah.